And welcome back, guys, to another episode of Katawa Shoujo. In the last part, we had a lot of reflecting, said some goodbyes, and all that jazz. But now, he's getting angry. Sal's getting angry. And we want him to look at that clock number and say, I'm going to the airport. I'm going to stop this from happening. That's what we want, Hisao. Don't screw this up for us. With an increasingly angry feeling washing over me, I turn over and set the crane back on the desk next to my clock, the place where it has lived since that day when she folded it for me. Since that day when she herself said that my burdens needn't be my own. The obnoxious bright red numerals of my alarm clock shine through the darkness of the room onto my tired eyes. 10 o'clock. Evening. Curfew will be soon. I wonder. Akira mentioned they'd be leaving this evening. I've no idea exactly when their flight is, but that means there's a chance, however small, that they might not have already left. Adrenaline starts to move through my body as I sit up on my bed, my eyes suddenly wide with possibility. There's no guarantee they have left. Indeed, it's likely that they already have, but there's also a chance they haven't. However small it may be. Just this once, just as I should have before. I stand up and rush over to my cabinet, throwing out some clothes as fast as I can and sliding them on in quick succession. Each second that goes by is a second that I can't regain. A second that may mean the difference between catching them and losing them forever. Even if I fail, I have to try. I can't let her leave everything behind without even trying to stop her. Without just this once, being there for her. With the last of my clothes slipped on, I hastily grabbed the phone off the desk. Luckily, the number of the local taxi company is still in my call history. A gruff and unenthusiastic voice announces the name of the company while I pace around the room. I take some effort to slow down my voice and keep it clear over the phone. The chilly night air sweeps against me as I open the dormitory door, but nevertheless I keep my brisk speed as a half jog, half run out the school gates. It may not be curfew just yet, but it is precariously close. If there were a guard around, they'd no doubt have some questions for me, but it looks like I've managed to come out just before they arrive, or they're around a corner. My pace picks up as I make my way through the school gardens, their nighttime allure all but lost when I begin to run to the school gate. The lamps of the courtyard, dim as they are, provide just enough illumination to light the way and prevent me from tripping over. The buildings themselves take on a rustic, almost antique-looking edge when I glance at them. Looking back, it seems strange that they once appeared so dark and looming to me. Now they just look to be somewhat anachronistic school buildings, the same as any other bar their age. Leaving the gates behind me, I pull up to a stop just before the taxi, parked just as Akira's car had been. Its gaudy and brightly lit sign looks out of place in the quiet country backdrop. I impatiently squeeze myself through the door, giving the driver the address for where the two should hopefully be staying. By the time the taxi pulls up after its trip of maddeningly casual speed, it's well and truly deep into the night. The house is truly enormous, its sheer size much larger than I expected, and ominously still. Fearing the worst, I ask the driver to stay just in case my efforts are for naught. A single press of the fancy intercom system outside the gate produces a short electronic melody in the otherwise silent road. It's not long before a somewhat deep, gruff voice can be heard from it. This is the Hakamichi residence. Please state your name and why you're bothering us this late. I press on, despite inwardly wincing at the reasonable annoyance audible in his voice. It's Hisao Nakai. I was hoping to meet Lily or Akira if they're still here. Surprisingly, I managed to summon quite some energy to my voice, though to make the other side of the intercom silent. A few seconds pass, but just before I press the button again and ask what's going on, a light turns on outside the front door. I strain my eyes to try and make out who is coming through, but as he comes past a large parked car with a fishing rod sticking out the back, his identity becomes clear. His face is typically placid and emotionless as he saunters up to the gate. He's still childlike in his mannerisms, despite his demeanor. With the press of a few buttons from behind the fence, the gate slowly opens. Hisao, what are you doing here? I think this is the most emotion I've ever heard from his voice. Not that it would be hard to reach that mark. Akira told me that she and Lily would be staying here before they left for their flight. I need to talk to Lily just one last time. Are they still here? The look on his face says everything. I failed. I was too late. The one time when I actually needed to act quickly and... Actually, it's possible. What? What is it? He's a bit taken aback by my fervor, but I can't help it at this point. They left not long ago, only a few minutes before you arrived, in fact. If you go straight to the airport, you might be able to... Hisao? I dart back towards the waiting taxi, grabbing what little money is left in my pocket as I go. Thanks, Hideaki. With that, I take a seat and in short order bark out my destination. Oh man, this is getting intense. But we also need to worry about Hisao's heart. Because if he's running and dashing everywhere, this is not good for him. My chest beats wildly as I tear down the street, my body twisting this way and that to slip between the pedestrians walking back and forth beside me. With the roads solidly blocked by taxis and the other cars dropping passengers and picking up and others in the time that they have to wait, we ended up having to stop almost a block away. But that's in the past now. What matters is reaching Lily. On foot, one foot hits the ground, the other quickly following without the slightest thought, as if my legs have taken on a new life of their own, and all my mind can do is concentrate on the view ahead of me. Just one glimpse of that long hair of hers, that long yellow hair that was the same color as the wheat that stretched as far as the eye could see. In the end, I depended on Lily, just like Hanako did. Even after we started going out, it still doesn't feel like she really ever let herself depend on me. Except for one moment, that one moment where we held each other tightly on the bright yellow field. At that time, she must have feared losing me just as she did everyone else. That's why, just this once. The night air wraps around me, draining every last remnant of warmth out of my body, to the extent that it feels more like midwinter than a summer night. My fingers, my hands, my feet, all feel increasingly cold. The sound of the pacing crowd is reduced to no more than a background hum while the sounds of my shoes hitting the pavement echo loudly. Every step surging towards the person I have to catch. Forced by my chest tightening in response to the cold of the night, I rest an arm over it and try to settle it down. Yeah, no, this is not good, dude. When the airport comes into view, though, I realize this feeling as one I felt before. Not now. Of all the times for this, please not now. I take a gulp and soldier on regardless, pushing my body far as it goes, as far as it will go. Sweat pouring off me as I hurtle forward, my shoulder hitting someone's side, my mind suddenly flooding with emotions and memories. I continue on without an apology. I have to keep moving now. If I stop, I'm not sure I could begin again. And even if I could, it would be all for naught if I'm not on time. I hit another person, then another, offering little resistance to getting bounced around. My feet feel numb. My arms are losing all feeling. My chest forces me to hunch over awkwardly, tightening even more. That afternoon in the snow, The time where my life irreversibly changed. Images of Iwanako and that damned letter flashing over and over in my mind. The first love I'd lost thanks to my condition. I can't let that happen again. I don't care what happens to me anymore. I just need to see her one last time. There! A silver of yellow and white comes into view, some distance down the road, her figure silhouetted by the light. It's emanating from the airport's entrance. Lily! Lily! Lily, stop, please! Lily! Come on, Lily. I know your hearing's far beyond My view suddenly spins out of control and ends up on the ground, my body haphazardly sprawled after hitting someone and stumbling over. Before I can assess the damage, an unbelievable pain ignites in my body. All my thoughts are blank as I curl up and frantically clutch at my chest. Hey, are you okay? That was a really bad fall. This pain, I can't... Any sharp knocks could do me in. Any overexertion. I thought I could overcome my limits this once. Something's wrong with him. What's the matter? The voices of those gathering around me are gradually replaced by a loud ringing in my ears. By now, I'm unable to move my head. My eyes turn upwards to see the mute moving of their lips. Oh, dude. Even as I clutch my chest, I realize I can't feel my fingers anymore, nor my feet. It feels like my entire body is shutting down, starting from my extremities. With one last effort, I turn my head down the road towards the airport entrance that's casting its light over me. Lily is there, behind the crowd. Her head is tilted, but only just slightly. I can feel my vision dimming as I try to yell out, but nothing emerges from my mouth, despite my best efforts. Slowly but surely, my vision begins to black out the scene before me. So, this is how it ends. I failed. I was so close, so very close. But at the very last moment, my condition seized my chance of a new life and dragged me back. Now, I'm going to die, sprawled out just meters from an airport with a crowd of babbling people surrounding me, and with Lily leaving for Scotland just a little distance ahead. Lily. That last word extinguishes the last of my energy. The world falls into a deep, inescapable blackness as every muscle in my body shuts down. I'm sorry, Lily. I was too late. Oh, okay, we're not done yet. Oh, man. My eyes are tearing up. This is not good. Gotta read the dialogue. You can do it, CJ. What's going on? As I slowly open my eyes, a bright white light assaults my retinas. For minutes, I just lay where I am, mindlessly staring ahead while my scattered thoughts coalesce in my slowly waking mind. Slowly but surely, the white begins to come into focus as a bare expanse begins to be drawn across my field of vision. It's only when the light fixture comes into view that my mind clicks that this is the ceiling above me. Slowly levering myself up, I slightly absorb through all my senses the details of the room I'm in. The smell and taste of strong bleach hang in the air, lending the impression of a place just slightly too clean to be natural. Inoffensive pale peach-colored walls, all perfectly painted without a crack, stain, or imperfection. A single framed painting hanging on the wall, perfectly straightened. Like the walls, it's as boring and inoffensive as it can be. my attention grabbed by the translucent curtain waving across my vision, my eyes following it to the open window it covers. When I move my right arm to try and lift myself up and look through it, I feel the catheter dig in uncomfortably. It's only now, too, that I notice that the canule tubes winding around my cheeks and into my nose. After some fidgeting, I settle for just looking around the corner of the window. Beyond the thick leaves of several large trees, I can see the greenery below, backing out onto a field, a customary island of green on the outskirts of the city. Judging by the sun outside, it's noon. Of which day, though, I'm not sure. So, I'm in a hospital once again. I let out a long, tired breath as I tried to collect my scattered thoughts, my mind seemingly cast in a dozen directions, all at once, with as many emotions running through me. After slowly lying back down, I decided to start at the beginning, why I'm here. I cast my mind back, but I can't work out a smooth recollection of what happened. The events of last night, or whichever night it was, come back more as a series of snapshots than any cohesive memory. Lying on my bed, looking at the origami bird. Talking to Hideaki outside the Hakamichi residence. Running down the street, passing pedestrians and bumping into more and more of them. Falling. Looking up at the serially bright airport entrance, seeing Lily's back as I lay on the ground. The silence of the private room suddenly feels overwhelming. So that's it. I have my chance to correct my mistake, and I blew it. Whether I was at fault for neglecting my medication or disregarding to pace myself, or my body was for giving out so soon, it doesn't matter now. All that matters is that, once again, I'm alone. The pastel blue pillow yields with little resistance as I let myself fall back onto the bed. Its starchy case, along with the starchy sheets, providing little comfort. Compared to the darkness of last night's events, the bright light of the room around me is striking. All it does, though, is emphasize how otherworldly places like this are. Arrhythmia. A strange word. A foreign, alien one. One that you don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition. It causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It can be fatal. It was a miracle that you were able to go on so long without anything happening, they said. And then, it did. My condition had taken away everything. My old school was of no importance anymore. My home was reduced to a faraway place. Both my friends and my first love simply stopped visiting after a length of time. I became cynical and embittered, distant and subdued. In my defense, no person could avoid that after such a thing happened to them, but nonetheless, I left the hospital as a very definitely changed person. Things changed. I made new friends in Hanako, Shizune, and Misha. I found a new sense of home in my dormitory, a new interest in science and the world around me, and I found a direction to my life that I had never felt before. But I had also discovered other things. The sense of isolation in Yamaku and its surroundings, and its surrounds, was not entirely unwelcome. A quiet giving a peace of mind I might not have found elsewhere, but it gave the area a feeling of being pushed out of the way, of being kept out of sight. People in the streets would sometimes glance awkwardly, or quickly turn their heads as they realized they were staring. Even if my condition wasn't visible, my uniform was. Even if it weren't, I was still different. I took 17 pills a day, morning, midday, and night. My scar, though hidden behind my clothes, was still a permanent mark of my condition. And most of all, there was the very real possibility of death. A bad fall, an absent-minded, hard hit on the back, a simple sprint taken too far, anything could have set my heart off, and several times I teetered on the edge of the abyss, even with all the care I took of myself. But that was fine. I could have lived with all that, because there was one final thing I found, or rather refound, after entering Yamaku, which was once again snatched away before my eyes. It's only now that I realize just how delicate my newfound sense of happiness was. Everything depended on her, the linchpin of my life since I first entered Yamaku as a sullen, confused, and aimless transfer student. Lily Sato was the one person I could depend upon above all others, and who reciprocated the love that I felt for her. But I failed her, and only realized it all too late. I thought that I could just set my life up and continue that way forever, but the real world doesn't work like that. I finally realized the meaning of those words, only to be struck down as I confronted my failure to do so in time. The surroundings I'm in now are all too familiar. It's as if Yamaku was but a dream, and I'm still recovering from my first major heart attack. Maybe that's why I feel so tired. It feels almost as if I've lived the entire last few months of my life in the space of minutes. The weight of my eyelids closed my eyes, my physical and mental exhaustion letting me offer no resistance.